in the Washington Post. It all began when a teenage girl became pregnant, and her longtime boyfriend, John Wyatt, said he wanted to raise the baby with her. But the young mom gave the baby up for adoption instead without telling the dad. He is now waging a battle in 2 states for a little girl he loves but has never seen.
It's the worst experience that I've ever been through in my life.
John Wyatt is a man on a mission to find his year-old daughter, Emma, who has been adopted by another family in another state without his consent. When John's girlfriend, Colleen Fallon, unexpectedly became pregnant at 19, her parents wanted an adoption, but John had different ideas.
It was always clear in my mind that I wanted to raise my child.
The night before the birth, John told Colleen he wanted to be in the delivery room, but the next day he couldn't reach her. Panicked, John checked the local hospital but was told she wasn't there. In fact, she had given birth to baby Emma, but had instructed the hospital not to list her as a patient. After days of searching for answers, John received devastating news. Colleen had given the baby up for adoption to a family in Utah, a state known for siding with mothers in out-of-wedlock cases.
The Utah adoption statutes are especially harsh with respect to biological fathers who wish to assert rights in an adoption proceeding.
There are at least 10 recent cases where babies were taken to Utah without a father's consent. That's where Emma is now, even though John has been awarded custody in her home state of Virginia, setting off a legal dispute that has yet to be resolved. John Wyatt and his attorney, Stanton Phillips, both join us live now from Washington. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And John, you've never held your little baby. You've only seen pictures of her, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I've only seen pictures of her. I've never seen her before.
Colleen, the mother, was 19 when she became pregnant. You were 20 at the time. You're now 21. Tell us your relationship during the pregnancy, and did you ever talk about raising the baby together?
I mean, I talked about raising the baby every time I saw her. Like, to me, there was never really an option. I always wanted to raise my daughter. I mean, I didn't know it was a daughter at the time, but I knew that I wanted to raise my child, and I knew that I would do anything to be there for my child because I know what it's like to grow up without a father, and that's why it's so important to me to be there for my children.
I know you said you were 10 years old when you lost your father, and you're very clear that you wanted to raise the child. What about Colleen? What was she telling you during her pregnancy?
I mean, well, at first, you know, she considered all the options, and every time we talked together, it was clear that we were going to make a decision together. It was never, you know, like, I'm 100% going to do adoption. This is what's going to happen. You know, like, you should, you know, get your legal stuff ready because I'm going to try and put her up for adoption.
So when did you exactly learn about the adoption? Run us through that again, how that came about.
I got a text message on the 5th of February from her saying that she was looking into about proceeding with a Utah adoption, and I called her back and told her that I would not, if I had anything to do about it, that I would not let that happen because I love my child more than anything in the world, and I want nothing more than to raise her and be her father.
And she told you that she was going to contact you when she went into labor, but she didn't, and you knew something wasn't quite right, and you went to the hospital. And what did they tell you when you got to the hospital?
When I got to the hospital, I already knew that both Colleen and my daughter were there because I had my mom called down and my sister called down separately 2 different times, and they both confirmed both times that there was both of those people there. And so when I went down there, they lied straight to my face and told me there was nobody there by that name. And so then I proceeded to go down to the nursery, and they wouldn't let me in there. They told me that if I didn't leave, that they were going to call the police and security on me.
I know Colleen has changed her mind now and stands by the fact that you want the child and has regrets. That's how her attorney puts it, regrets. But full disclosure here, and you've been very open about this, you spent 60 days in jail for disorderly conduct and marijuana possession when you were 18 years old. Are you prepared now? You said you learned from that experience. You think that you have learned and you're prepared to take care of your daughter?
Yes, I mean, everyone makes mistakes, and the important thing is, because you're going to make mistakes, the important thing is to learn from your mistakes and to grow from them so that you don't repeat the same mistakes and you grow as a person. And I feel like that's what I've done.
Mr. Phillips, from a legal standpoint, Virginia is where the baby was born, Emma, and that's where John lives, and a judge there in Virginia has awarded custody. to John, but a Utah judge is not recognizing that, saying that your client did not file papers in time. So where does it stand right now legally? What's coming up next?
Utah has set up what is an impossible situation for a birth father to be able to come forward. John has never been to Utah. Colleen has never been to Utah. And yet we're being told that Utah law overrides Virginia. Under Utah law, the birth father is required to have filed in Virginia prior to the mother signing her papers, which can occur 24 hours after birth. And the Utah court has ignored a federal law called the Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act, or PKPA, which requires Virginia to make the determination of custody in this case.
Well, hopefully something can be resolved sometime soon. And we did hear from the adoptive parents, and they said they're saddened that Mr. Wyatt has chosen to try this case in the media rather than the courts where it belongs. As with all cases, there are at least two sides to the story, and we appreciate you telling us your side of it this morning, John, and we wish you all the best going forward. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. If I could say one thing, I would just like to thank all the people who have been showing me support through the past, since it was in the paper. People have really been helping us out and, you know, giving us a lot of support, and I just want to thank everyone for that.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Phillips.